when I've told you the answer to then understand it. Because when I've explained this to people, I've laid out for them, they still can't quite get the concept. Okay, so, there's 2 doors, Carl.
Yeah.
One leads to heaven,
Right.
one leads to hell.
Yeah.
Okay, they're identical, you can't tell them apart. Okay, 50-50.
Right.
Obviously you want to go to heaven, I assume. Right, there's 2 guards, identical guards, guarding each door. Okay?
Right.
The one guarding hell always tells a lie. The one guarding heaven always tells the truth. You have to ask one question to find out which is which, and then go through the door you want. What question do you ask?
I've only got one.
Yeah.
And what, one to both?
No, one to either of them. You don't know which one's which, though. So what question do you ask?
Why can't I ask, like, both of them one?
Because it's
Because
not the
rules are you can only ask one. There aren't actually 2 doors labelled heaven and hell, Carl. It's a leap of imagination here.
And I've definitely got to answer. I've got to ask them a question. I can't just sort of have a feel of the door to see if there's any heat or anything.
They're identical. You stand a few yards away. You cannot tell from the outside of these doors which is which. They're identical. The guards are identical. But the one guarding hell always tells a lie, and the one guarding heaven always tells the truth. What question do you ask?
I can't look through the keyhole or anything.
There's
You
no
can't get anywhere
keyhole.
near them. Let's imagine there's a small rope that prevents you from getting anywhere near, rather like outside a nightclub.
Yeah. What do you ask? What do you ask? What question do you ask? Come on, you only got one. Quick, this is it.
So, they stood there,
Yeah.
smiling,
Yeah.
but one of them's not really smiling, really. He's trying to make me make a mistake, isn't he?
Well, he's just going to lie when you ask him a question, if you ask him.
So what's the point in asking a question? Do I know one of them's going to lie?
Yeah, well, the one guarding hell always tells a lie. The one guarding heaven always tells the truth. These things you know.
But would they be neighbours like this? Would they be that close? Why?
I mean, we're not sure if these 2 guys get on.
I'll give you a clue. They know who they are, and they know that the one guarding hell always tells a lie, and the one guarding heaven always tells the truth.
So I know that.
No, they know it as well. Doesn't really come down to this, Carl. This isn't what's going to happen when you die.
But when is this useful then?
Because it's a logical... Well, I'll tell you the answer.
No, I want to see if he can get it. He's almost there. No, he's not almost there. What am I thinking?
But there's no shame in not getting it. It's a really hard one to get. I mean, the shame is the ridiculous questions you asked. And now I'm going to tell you the answer.
No, hang on, right, so you go up and you go,
Hang on. Well, look, let's imagine Ricky and I are those 2 guys. Okay? Right?
But we have to, well, me and Steve will decide which doors we're guarding, okay?
Right.
Look away, Carl.
Okay,
Right,
then.
so we've decided, okay, one of us is guarding hell and one of us is guarding heaven. Which question you're going to ask and who you're going to ask it to?
Right, I'll just say to you, Steve, I'll go, got some post for God here.
That's not a question. That's a statement.
Right, you've got some post for God here.
No, that's not a question.
Yeah, but maybe the question's coming. You got some post for God here, yeah?
And it needs to be signed.
It's not a question. Still not a question.
No, let him finish.
Is God in? Because I need him to sign the in.
Well, I can answer that as well if you want.
Go on.
He's in. He's behind my door. Do you want to answer it?
Well,
yes.
Do you want to get him? Just
Well, no, you only got one question.
So you're asking Steve, is God in? What's the answer?
Yes.
You ask me. Yes.
Look, lads, I'm just trying to do a job here. What am I going to do with this?
Well, give it to me and I'll give it to God because he's behind my door. Steve?
Yeah, give it to me and I'll take it into God because he's behind my door.
You're an idiot. It doesn't help. That doesn't help. Let me tell you the answer. You ask either one of us, you say, if I was to ask the other one what door he was guarding, what would he say? Then whatever they say is the door they're guarding. Because if you happen to ask the one guarding hell, right? I'm guarding hell, by the way. I'm the devil, Steve's God, okay? So you ask me what Steve would say if you asked him what door he was guarding, and I'm going to lie. I know he'd tell the truth, but I'm lying, so he'd say hell. So you know I'm guarding hell. If you ask Steve what door I was guarding, he'd tell the truth, right? So he'd say heaven, because he'd know I'd lie. So he's guarding heaven. So the question is, if I was to ask the other one what door he was guarding, what would he say? And whatever the person answers is the door they're guarding.
Steve, what door are you looking after?
Well,
heaven.
Yeah.
Why should I believe you?
Because you don't know. No, that doesn't work. Because you asked me the same, and I'd say heaven as well.
Right, so who do I believe? This is where you use your gut feeling, though, isn't it? This is what life's...
Well, as opposed to the pure logic that Ricky's just used.
I just think, because there's a lot of questions in life where you don't know the answer, and you go, do you know what? I don't like the look of him. So...
They're identical.
Yeah, but they're still identical twins. You always get a little snidey one.
Oh, chimpanzee, that is raining down. What?
That's the jingle there for Carl's Diary. Still a very popular feature on show 1/13. Here we are. Got a book sent to me called Freaks. It's a bit heavy, but it's got some interesting pictures in it. Read a bit about the two-headed nightingale. She/they was on tour in London years and years ago. It cost 2 shillings to have a front row seat. She/they had 2 heads/2 arms and 4 legs. They are called Siamese twins because the first twins that were born stuck together were Siamese. On one of the pictures, they are playing chess against a doctor. That hardly seems fair.
2 heads are better than 1.
So it's 2 heads, 2 arms, and 4 legs. That's just 2 women in one dress.
Yeah, that's 2 women with an arm missing.
Yeah. Spoke to Ricky and his friend Glyn about Get It. Ricky had some odd pictures on his walls. I don't have any pictures up in my flat because of the mirrored wall. But I can't say I'm bothered. The mirrored wall, we should just explain what that is. When you moved into your flat, there was an enormous mirror on one wall, was that right?
We just got this flat, and, it's not a big flat, so I think the people who had it before us, he was a gay fella, right, which was a bit like, oh, so you've been doing with that mirror and that. But that was...
What?
No, just,
What? What has he been doing with the mirror?
Well,
What's he been doing?
No, it's just because they're quite sort of experimental in it, aren't they? And
I don't know, what do you mean? What do they do?
Well, I wouldn't know anything about it, but go on.
No, what do you want? What?
No, I don't.
Experimental in what way?
What do you mean experimental?
I just mean, they'd be doing stuff.
What?
Whatever they do.
Chemistry,
What?
have a chemistry set out, they were doing experiments, what?
No, just doing what...
Singing I Am What I Am and just checking out
each
the
to
dance
their own.
moves.
I'm not having a go at anyone, but
What?
I'm just saying, like, they're doing what they're doing, which
Carl, you're
is
not
annoying as
homophobic,
well.
are you?
Because,
You're not
no,
st-
I'm not. This is why...
Why are you worried about what a little gay fella was doing in your flat before you got it in front of a mirror?
I wasn't worried about it.
Why are you thinking about what his gay fella was doing in front of your mirror in your...
I'm not bothered. I'm just telling you why it was a bit odd that he had a mirror in there, right? But forget the history.
But you've got a mirror in there now, haven't you?
No, because what I did was, I was going to take it down, and I thought, oh, it's a bit dangerous. This, it could crack and...
Because it's the
fall on
size
me.
of the whole wall, isn't it?
It took up a whole wall, right? So, like, when he's moving about everywhere, he's got a good view of it and that. But he's got this full wall of mirror, and I thought, I can't take that down. And I thought, what can I do? So I've just put wallpaper on it.
Brilliant.
And it looks alright, you wouldn't know and what have you, but it means that I can't put any pictures up. That's all I'm saying. Because if I put a nail in...
And what don't you understand about art? What about art don't you understand? The concept? Specifics?
Just the way some people like... the ones you've got, where it's just like a block of colour on a bit of canvas. It's like, what's that?
Abstract. It's just abstract. It's it's vibrancy of colour. It's an attack on the senses. Something in there that you might see. You might not see first time round, or it could be,
Yeah, but there's loads of stuff to look at without having to do that.
But
you've
that's
got
the point
windows. I can understand if you had a cell and there's no windows and you want a bit of colour, but you've got a window to look out of, and you've got like just a big block of...
But I was
colour
explaining this to you, the photograph where people before, the art was photography. It was realistic, and they had to make it look like the subject. But then when cameras came in, that's when people started doing surreal stuff. And
I understand that.
Otherwise, there was no point to it. They had to find a new way to represent things that photography couldn't do as such.
No, so, that's like when we were in London having a shop around at Christmas, and there was that picture of fruit for £700. It's like, well, just get some fruit. You know what I mean? You can get some real fruit for £3.
Yeah.
I understand that, but there's nothing wrong with like having a. We'll get. Don't invent cameras then. One or the other. Do you know what I mean? That's what annoys me. Someone invents something, and then they go, "We've got to invent something else," like the abstract. Oh, I can't have paintings anymore because.
Wasn't it a Dali, going melting clocks and stuff? No.
I mean, the first one was all right when he did the first clock, but then all the time he's just like, "Oh, I'll draw something. And it's got a melting clock on it. I'll do a sheep. Put one of them on it."
Have you seen his lobster telephone?
That annoys me.
Why?
Because it's not. I mean, what annoyed me more with that is when I heard about how it happened. He had some artist mate round, right? And I don't know what happened. They were eating.
That's a hell of an anecdote.
No, but they were eating. They were eating some food and what have you.
Yeah.
Lobsters?
And they were eating lobster.
Oh, right.
And
that's handy.
I don't know, the other artist, whoever it was, sort of started saying, "Oh, you and your clocks," and all that, right?
Brilliant.
And,
this didn't happen.
They started arguing,
yeah.
And he chucked some of the lobster.
Bollocks.
And it landed on the phone.
It bounced off his mate's head, went on the phone, and they both looked at each other like, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" They brought out that phone as a bit of art. Things like that annoy me. Because it was then just messing about.
That didn't happen.
Just telling you what I know. I saw his work. Each to their own, if that's what he's doing. I'm just saying, I'm not putting my stamp of approval on it.
Heaven forbid. Well, as you mentioned in your diary, your favourite artist is Lowry, because you can look at them for ages and see someone different every time you look at it.
All I'm saying is, art should be there to tell a story, not just to have a splash of colour. We know colour's out there. There's loads of colour. We don't need to be reminded of it.
But colour's part of our evolution, and so it does something to us. Just like sounds.
Yeah, but I'm saying, do a picture.
Smells.
Colour it in. Still use the colours, but draw something with it rather than just going, a bit of yellow, a bit of red. Like that when you've got just red and black. What's that meant to do?
Well, it does something.
What?
Well, I like it, I enjoy it, so it does something.
Saying, I prefer it if it was something.
And so let me just get straight, you had a mirror on one wall, so you padded that wall.
It's just
and you padded the others.
It's just sort of wallpaper on it.
Right.
Amazing.
And there's no other art in there, it's just an empty cell.
Was Suzanne like some art? Just like, Suzanne's not allowed to watch telly unless it's a favourite thing, otherwise she's got to talk to me about stuff. There's no art, there's no point, just wallpaper.
I'm just saying, we've got three windows we can look out of.
Right.
Right? Stop looking at the walls, look out the window.
Some new words have been introduced into the dictionary. Too many words. We should have some system where we can get rid of words if they aren't used a certain number of times.
Well, that we do.
They do die out, don't they, eventually?
Like what?
You don't have to use them.
No, but they don't, do they? They keep adding them. And I just worry about, this is your head can only hold so much. Can't it?
Yeah.
It all very well when Adam and Eve was knocking about. There's no history, they don't have to remember anything. All I'm saying is, fine, bring out a new word, but once you bring out a new one, bin another one. The dictionary's getting bigger and bigger, no one's keeping an eye on it.
Well, I think they are.
They're not, they keep adding.
It doesn't grow. They don't just dig it up one day, it's got bigger. What have you done?
So
Left it out.
You're happy for them to stick in iPod, let's say.
But we can pride ourselves on having more words in the English language than any other language. I think we've got twice as many as the second.
Yeah.
I think maybe Russian. I'm not sure about that. I'm sure someone email us, but
we don't talk the most, so there's a lot of clutter there.
What do you mean we don't talk the most?
Well, you'd have to. You'd say that.
Nothing as expressive as the English language.
Yeah, no, because we've got a word for everything. I'm just saying that I don't use all these words that are coming out. And I just think, like I say, some sort of... I don't know how it can be controlled.
But Shakespeare invented words. I think Shakespeare invented about 1,200 words.
Yeah, and we're probably still using a lot of his. So why do we keep sticking more in the pot?
Right.
Stop using loads of words.
People are panicking in New York about the snow they're getting. It's 2 foot deep. They're saying it's to do with global warming. I don't get it. 2 days ago they were saying the world's getting warmer and the ice is melting on one of the poles where the polar bears are. As long as we get snow on the world, does it matter where it goes? Read on the internet that heads are bigger now than they were years ago. Brains are getting bigger, apparently. This is because we're being told too much information. We are told too much stuff about things that we wouldn't have known about years ago. You've just made that leap, haven't you? Maybe heads and brains are getting larger, but the fact that it's because there's too much information cramming in them. Where have you got that from?
As time goes on, isn't it? It's that thing of we're being taught more and more every day. As the time goes on, something's happening every day. You've got to remember that.
No, you haven't.
You have. You know, with the Adam and Eve thing, they didn't have that much to remember. They come on the world, they go, what happened yesterday? Oh, not much.
Well, in the all-new Ricky Gervais show, there is no monkey news as such. That's going to come back, Carl. You've got to bring that back. But we're going to do something that we used to do on our local radio show called Rockbusters. Sounds a bit like Blockbusters, a television programme that used to be on television where they gave sort of real cryptic clues. Yours aren't cryptic clues. Yours are ridiculous. So explain Rockbusters.
Give out an initial of an artist or a band.
Yeah.
Knocking about like now or ages ago. And I give a cryptic clue.
It's not a cryptic clue. Very rarely cryptic. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's nonsense, but...
Well, as we once said, I think it is more accurate.
Yeah.
Well...
Or what am I thinking?
Well, are you going to give an example, or will we just do them?
The classic example, of course, for me is a woman. She's an artist. The initials are WH. She was wandering around in Texas. She fell over. A part of her leg fell in a puddle. Wet knee, Houston.
That is the level.
That's what you're working with, people.
So he's going to give 3 of these. The first email that gets them all right, the first email we get, and it's timed, isn't it, email, so we can know, that gets all these clues exactly right, can win, what, a signed photo of Carl?
Now that is exclusive. There are not very many. I don't think they even exist, do they? There are no signed photos of Carl, so this will be a collector's item.
Right. So, yeah, there's 3 different ones. When you send it in on email, podcast@rickygervais.com, just put in the subject thing like Rockbusters so I know what I'm looking for.
Mm.
Right then, so three different clues for you to work on. First one.
Oh, shouldn't I do a jingle for this?
Please.
Okay. Sounds cryptic, no fucking isn't!
Rockbusters.
Right, first one, the initial, right, is B.
The initial B, band or artist?
So, band or an artist beginning with the letter B.
Mm-hmm.
The cryptic clue, well, I don't want a house that's that far away from the water. I want to be right on top of it. Right? That's the cryptic clue. Well, I don't want a house that far away from the water. I want to be right on top of it. Right? B, artist or band. Who is it? Right? Work on that one. Second one, it's B again. B, letter B for the band or the artist.
All right.
Cryptic clue, right? That part of my leg is English. Right?
That's it, is it?
Yeah.
Right.
That part of my leg is English. Initial B. What is it? Part of my leg is English. And then the last one, KW, artist or band. The fitness teacher has got a speech impediment. What's going on there? Right, KW, the fitness teacher has got a speech impediment. Work on them, right? Send in the answers, podcast@rickygervais.com, and just win some signed picture and that.
A signed picture of Carl Pilkington. Also, when you're sending in your answers, or indeed if you don't have the answers but you just want to get in touch, podcast@rickygervais.com. If you've got anything that you think might be of interest to Carl, we're looking for, as Ricky was giving him earlier, scientific facts, stories you've read about, anything which you think might just pique his interest, send them in, podcast@rickygervais.com.
Well, that's it. That's the end of the first episode of the all-new Ricky Gervais show.
Sounded very similar to the old one.
Yeah, yeah.
Why change your winning formula?
Why, well, exactly. And if you're missing the old ones, the complete archive of all our podcasts are available from next week.
Go to audible.com, find out how to get any of your queries and questions. Go to rickygervais.com. That tells you where you need to go for any Ricky Gervais podcasts or the new shows. It's all there. That'll explain it.
So it's goodbye from me, Ricky Gervais. Goodbye from Steve Merchant.
Goodbye.
And Carl Pilkington.
All right.
Audible hopes you've enjoyed this programme. This is Audible.
Welcome to number 2 in this second series of the Ricky Gervais show. With me, Ricky Gervais. Hello. Stephen Merchant.
Hello.
And Carl Pilkington.
All right.
Well, I've been away. I had a little bit of an express tour of America, LA and New York. They're all talking about one thing out there. Carl Pilkington.
Really?
Yeah. I hooked up with the Simpsons lot. They all listen to it on their iPods. I went down to the American office to keep an eye on, things.
Yeah, check it.
Well, as we get money for old rope for doing next to nothing, I thought I'd show my face.
Yeah.
They're big fans, Carl. I met up with Jason Bateman, Arrested Development, and he knows how stupid you are. David Letterman knows what an idiot you are. Mentioned on the Letterman show. I mean, unbelievable. David Bowie listens. And they're all listening to little Carl Pilkington. When I think of people like that, like pretty much geniuses in their field.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But when I think of Bowie listening to it, I still think of him as 26, dressed
he's dressed as Ziggy.
Yeah.
With a pair of those big 70s headphones.
Yeah, and he's going, hey, Mum, can you turn the TV down and listen to Pilkington?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love his kooky outlook on life. And Christopher Guest. Now, Christopher Guest, because obviously everyone else sort of knows how stupid you are and not understanding concepts like, the infinite amount of monkeys. But he empathises with that because he thinks that sometimes, he thinks that he sometimes doesn't understand concepts that seem obvious to other people. However, I think he's being polite. I don't think you've got a lot in common with him because he did all that other genius stuff. What you did was do the washing up with your pants pulled down slightly. It didn't have the same effect as, say...
It's not been as influential as Spinal Tap.
Oh, waiting for Guffman!
No. I mean, unless people... maybe that's sweeping the nation now. Maybe if someone sees someone nude in a room opposite their house, they immediately get their cock out.
They go, genius. That's genius. Well, I did an appearance at the Oxonian Society in New York. It's a Princeton College run event, and they have, academics, artists, political figures. They have heads of industry. They had world leaders. They've had Prince Hassan of Jordan. And there was a Q&A afterwards. And one of the questions was, is Monkey News coming back?
Yeah.
In that sort of forum. I mean, it's...
I believe they also asked that of Bill Clinton.
Carl, is Monkey News coming back?
I mean, maybe. It depends what goes on out there. It's going to be quiet, isn't it?
On the monkey front?
Yeah, I don't know if they're aware or whatever that it's being covered, but it's just like, there's no point. You can't make news, can you? All these news channels, that's the problem with it. They've committed to saying we're a news channel. You got to find news. Well, don't do it like that.
Sure.
I'd say put something else on. If there's now what's going on
Cartoons.
in the world. Just.
Is there often no news in the world on the planet Earth with 6 billion people? Is there ever a day when they go, no, nothing?
But I'm just saying the news is. What is it, about half an hour long?
It depends. There's news channels that are 24 hours. But you're thinking of one specific news programme that's on in your house.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's half an hour. How much of that?
No. I've told you that not all news programmes are half an hour by definition, but you go anyway, it's half an hour. Again, you didn't listen to me. Why do you think all news programmes are half an hour? They're not.
I'm just saying, do we actually need to know about?
But we don't need to know about any news. I mean, outside sort of dangerous situations, it's interesting. It's entertainment. People want to be aware. People want to be hooked up. I mean, I don't, watch the news much or read papers. But it's funny when I'm away, I do. I suppose it's because you want to feel connected with what's yours. It's that feeling of being part of society, isn't it?
No, but there's places, say like there's places where they don't have telly, right? and they're not watching the news, they're still getting on with life,
Yes, they are.
and
Yeah.
they're bogged down with their own problems, which is the way it should be. Say, like at the moment, I've got a leak in the bathroom, right?
Have you?
It's doing me head in. So I put the telly on to get away from all that, and then you put the news on, they go, oh, there's a, bad weather in what's it. You go, oh, don't tell me that as well. I like it when you hear about inventions that are coming out, or, stuff they're doing in science.
But you told me the other day that you thought everything that needs to be invented has been invented. Something they said in 1900. But,
I mean, they are sort of playing around now. Like they've said they've made like a heart now that can be bunged into a body if yours isn't working and keep you going.
But why is a heart that you can bung into someone to save their life? Why is that a bad thing?
Just because it's another thing, isn't it? We're meant to die from the year dot. Things live, you have your bit, you knock about, and then you die. If you're going to live forever, how do you plan stuff? Right? That's the way I look at it.
Sure.
You sort of go...
how big would your diary be?
Well, that diary
this-
would become
this is-
intimidating, wouldn't it?
this is what I'm
You
saying.
have to fill that in for the rest of eternity.
And you get bored. You get bored with living forever. And,
But I agree with you.
you get bored of people. You'd have to keep making new mates, wouldn't you? Because you've discussed everything by the time you're about 110.
110!
So it's kind of like...
Carl, you have the same concepts that you worked out and decided that were true at about 10, I think.
I look at life like a
Box
big
of chocolates?
Right, okay, yeah.
book, right? And, sometimes you get halfway through it and you go, even though I've been enjoying it, I've had enough. Give us another book.
No. Your metaphor, analogy, whatever you're trying to create there, falls down with "let's have another book."
Yeah.
No. You can either opt out of life or stick with it till the end. You can't go, be someone else now. You can't do that. I know you think you can. And I think in your world you can, you'd possibly be injected into an old woman's head when you've had enough and you come out a little baby.
What I mean is, at the moment, my life, I'm going to live to 74, 75, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I'm probably on page, what am I on? A book that's got about 200...
This is painful, Steve. This is really painful. Come on, sorry, carry on.
I'm on, I say if my book's got 300 pages in it.
Yeah.
Few pictures and that.
It's a picture book. That's the great thing about Carl's life. It's a book for children.
And it just, every page he pops in, he goes, all right.
I'm probably on like page about 170.
Yeah.
He's going to die at 74. He's reading a book with a few pictures in with 300 pages and he's on 170. Go on then.
So, right, if the book was too thick, right, and there was loads more pages
Let me tell you,
left,
this book is way too thick.
Yeah. If the book was more thick, yeah.
The book could not be thicker.
if there was loads more pages left, I'd go, I can't be bothered reading on.
Right. Okay, let him finish the
He must
analogy.
have known that when he saw the book. You don't.
We've got to finish this analogy,
Right.
otherwise we're going to be here all night.
Listen, he must have known how many pages there were when he got the book out of the library.
Yeah, but the way they write books, they're painting pictures more at the beginning, you're going, this is good. And then it gets a bit boring as it goes on, doesn't it?
Okay, well that works. So you're saying that you were young.
No, it doesn't work.
Well,
Well,
no,
you just
well,
accepted
no.
that that's what all books are like.
No, but there's a little bit of poetry in that, because he's actually saying that our whole life was ahead of him. He couldn't wait the whole world, the promise that he was given of this world, and now he's a bit jaded and he's more cynical, and he realises that the world hasn't got as much to offer him as he thought it was. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Liar.
Well, Rick, you're not the only one who's been away. I know you've been off working, but
Yeah.
I, at long last, have taken a bit of leisure time.
Go on.
And you've probably heard of the Rio de Janeiro Carnival. Only one of the hottest, events in the world
Oh,
calendar.
yeah.
Imagine me down there.
Oh,
Rio, you can imagine, did not know what hit it.
Oh, God almighty. Imagine, were you like Paul the Party Animal Parker?
He would not have been able to keep up if he was with me.
God, what did you do? What did you get up to?
Oh, well, let me tell you right now. Day one, I almost drowned. Day two, I got a foot infection and spent the day in the hospital. And the rest of the time, I had diarrhea. So that was.
Carnival.
Yeah. I did. I was able to watch some of the carnival on TV,
Oh,
and it
right.
looked brilliant. It looked
Did it?
amazing. I didn't actually it was difficult to make out because the TV wasn't actually in my room. Because in an effort to save money, I wasn't staying in a hotel. I was staying with a bunch of other people in some kind of, like, someone's flat that they'd let out. And, so I had to watch the TV, like, from my window, watching a neighbour's TV. And of course, when they changed the channel, you know, often during the juicy bits, I couldn't see anything. And, but they looked really good. I'm bunged up at the moment just so I can get through the show. But I've just been on a 12-hour flight, and it is terrifying being on a flight when you know that any moment you could go. Because, you know, the problem is sometimes the toilet's free and sometimes you've got to queue up. And the worst bit is that sort of half an hour just before you land when they say the toilets are out of bounds now. I'd say I went twice before that in quick succession. The woman sat next to the toilet. She didn't know what was going on, the noises and stuff, you know. And because I was really panicky. Oh Christ! And flight as we're landing, I'm really petrified because I'm thinking I packed a pair of underpants and jeans in my bag in my holdall. Just in case it all went. And I was really, because I hate flying anyway, and I hate landing because it's the most terrifying moment of the journey. Then it really was rumbling, and I was thinking, I got to get out of here. Of course, you know when you're in a hurry, everything makes you angry. The little old lady in front of me who's just hobbling along off the gangplank, get out of my way! Yeah. You know, just really annoying.
With your bad hips and your bad legs.
Your Zimmer frame.
I know you've been through a war, but get out of my way!
Yeah. And just anyone who kind of even passes you, and so I managed to get there just in time. Got into and it all went off. Man alive, it was grim. But that was not anything compared with the first couple of days. Because the first day I went for a walk, and of course Ipanema Beach is famous. I mean, obviously The Girl from Ipanema, one of the most famous songs in the world, and Ipanema Beach is famous for just the beautiful, beautiful people that gather there, and it is extraordinary. I mean, the people are remarkable. There's so many beautiful women in Rio. It made me angry. These women were so attractive, and that, you know, none of them were even looking at me. So, but anyway, I'm on the beach because I was shopping and I needed a wee. Right, and we went for a quick impromptu swim, and I thought, oh, wee in the sea.
Just think of him on this beach, right, with diarrhea.
Well, I'm wearing great big long shorts because I'm not going to try and compete with these boys because they are.
And you are, could I say this, the whitest man I've ever met in my life. Yeah. I mean, with his shirt off, you can see his heart like a newborn fish.
Well, this was the thing. As I went into the sea to have a wee, there was a discussion about this.
As I went into the sea to have a wee?
Yeah. Well, I was desperate for a toilet, and I was shopping, so I thought, well, I'm never going to make it back to the hotel. So I'll go in the sea and have a little swim and
just I see him straining, just like a cat in a litter tray.
See, there was a discussion about this because I'm very much of the opinion that you should take your trunks down, and some people, some of my friends are saying, just do it in your trunks and let the sea just wash it away.
What a hell of a carnival!
And I think I'm against that. I've always been against that in swimming pools, everything, you know.
I'm against pissing in swimming pools. Full stop. It doesn't matter what trunks down or don't piss in a swimming pool.
What about in the sea?
Yeah, well, fine. Yeah,
fine, okay, right.
Fish do it.
So anyway, I'm in the sea trying to urinate, and I kneeled because I'm obviously very tall, so it's tricky to get deep enough for the water to mask what you're up to. So I tried to kneel down in the water, right, and I got John Thomas out, but then the water swept out again and just left me on the beach. But luckily my back was to everyone, so no one saw. I
can't think of a funnier sight than Steve Merchant on his knees with his little John Thomas out. I don't know how big it is. I've never seen it. But I imagine it's in proportion to the rest of it, is it?
I wish. All I'll say is I've been a little shortchanged.